Hey guys, T-Bull here. Today we're going to be looking at the Marblehead Tier 4 American Premium Cruiser. Trying out something new. I'm going to put the Commander build at the beginning of this. This is intended to be what it was at the time the clip was shot. I got a lot of clips that were shot a while ago. Some of them end up making it into replays that I post online. Some of them don't. A lot of them don't. But for older ones, I probably won't put that on there, just because I have no idea what the build was back then. I'm always trying out new stuff. But for newer replays, I'll try and take a note of it and then put that on there for you. So what's the deal with the Marblehead? The Marblehead's kind of an interesting ship. Well, first off, it came in the Founders Pack, so some of the Founders Pack ships are coming back, so it wouldn't surprise me if this shows up. I do want to put a replay up of all the ships. So if, especially these premiums, if it comes back in the shop, you can check it out, see if you want to buy it. But you see a fair amount of Marbleheads, and you should know, or just, you should know about every ship that you potentially see. So I like to do replays for that reason. But on paper, the Omaha actually looks better than the Marblehead. I play the Marblehead a fair amount because it's a fun ship, and I seem to do really well in it. I never play the Omaha, but now that I'm caught up, I actually have all the ships unlocked currently, and we're leveling up the Kagero, and it seems to be a beast, but we'll get to that later. But now that I'm kind of caught up on everything, I think I'll try and go back and play some of the ships I don't play as much, just to kind of refamiliarize myself. Omaha being one of them. I don't know if the Omaha is as good. It's a really good ship too, but you know, I take the Marblehead out. That's usually the one I'll play for the Tier 4 weekly premium mission, you know. And this destroyer, if you noticed, I bumped into him early in the game. I was attempting to turn away. He obviously wasn't mad about it. I think he understood. He did pop a smoke for me, which was actually really nice. So I'm able to sit in that smoke. And basically what I do with the ship is I load up HE. You see it's got a really quick reload. And then he just spit shells out like a madman. And I'll switch to AP. You know, if you got a broadside cruiser that looks like it's going to be broadside for a little bit, I'll pop it over to AP and start firing. But I mean, for the most part, I just like to play this long range and just shoot HE, and tend to have a lot of relay games doing it that way. Now, was I talking about stats wise? I mean, the Omaha's got 200 HP less than the Marblehead, so that's the only real positive difference that the Marblehead has over the Omaha on paper. The torpedoes are absolutely worthless in the Marblehead. Omaha, you have 4x3 torps that have a 5.5 km range and 56 knot speed, so not great torps. But Marblehead, you have what do you got? 2x3, and then the 8.2 range, so the range is a lot better. But 49 km, I mean, they're like they're like frozen in blocks of ice, and you just shove them out the side of the ship, and they kind of drift with the current. You know, I mean, the torps are. I'll put them in the water just to get some distractions down for people. You know, if I remember to use them, I'm getting to the point now with this ship that I remember to use them a lot more, but I never even used to remember to put them down. But the torp indicator is nice. You can check for ships' speeds and headings with that. That's what I primarily use it for. I don't know if I've ever actually hit anyone with the torps on this ship, to be honest with you. I mean, I put them down there just because you never know, and it's good to have distractions. I don't know what this Karlsruhe is doing. That ship sucks. Why do I sound so certain about that? I'm trying to shoot replays for all the ships, obviously, which is forcing me to play games with some ships I don't like, and then Karlsruhe is one of them. So, I don't know. It's an inside joke with me and my brain. But, yeah, I don't know. I mean, the Marblehead torps, just forget about them or use them as distractions or whatever. But the gun's quick reload, fairly good velocity even for these long range shots for a light cruiser. I don't know. I'm kind of thinking there's stats on this ship that are better than the Omaha that we don't know about, like accuracy and dispersion, sigma, some of those gun stats that we don't necessarily have access to yet. But once we get a little bit more robust ship build or ship armor reader and stats and stuff like that, that's when I kind of think the Marblehead's going to stick out from the Omaha. Because, I don't know, I find these guns to be really accurate. And, granted I have Max Scott, but I've always found this ship to be pretty accurate, even when I was working on leveling up Scott early on, so. I don't know, a lot of fun. Definitely would recommend this one for people that like cruisers if it becomes available again. It's another one of those ships. I tend to suggest killing the Founders ships if you see them. Founders pack ships. Arkansas, massive, probably the strongest tier 3 ship. Marblehead at tier 4. Gremiyashi at tier 4. And what's the other one? Oh, the Owaki at tier 3, Japanese cruiser. So a lot of really good ships in that Founders pack. Or there was different configurations too that you could buy, but all of them are really good. So here I'm just sailing around. I wish I would have been able to stop behind that island, but as soon as that ship popped up, I knew just my speed was going to carry me beyond it. So I'm able to get into a kiting position. Now you can see here you got very steep, angles that you can achieve. Actually, don't even need to open up the angle right here. You can be very steep with your ship's angle and get all the guns going. But let's take a look at the fires. Keep an eye on that fires set badge as this game goes on. Again, part of it's the commander, but the Marblehead itself, 14.5% chance set fires. Same as the Omaha. Less than the Furutaka, but with the rate of fire and the accuracy, I don't know, I just tend to set a lot of fires when I'm playing the ship. But there you see, looking at this replay, I keep opening up the angle just a little bit more than I need to. Maybe want to tighten that up, but yeah, right there, you can, that's about the steepest right there. And it's very maneuverable, so you can kind of swing the guns in and out of position, get them on target, fire off the salvos, and time your turn away from, once you get the shots in the air. As long as they're not too close, then you have time to kind of turn away. So I actually noticed we've only taken one shot at some point earlier in the game. I don't even remember when it was, but able to dodge and weave. Granted, the Wyoming's, for me it's very inaccurate. I think it's inaccurate even if you have good commanders. But now here's the ship I was kind of waiting for, that T-22. You saw kept seeing him on the map. He looked like he was trying to ambush either me or some other ships. So I was able to start putting some fires on him. I'm trying to kill him because I think he's trying to yellow my friendly ship there, but Karlsruhe actually rams him and then sustains a flood, which will kill him. So that's going to put me 1 versus 3 versus the Wyoming and the Königsberg, and then can't remember what there's some destroyer on the other team too. So odds are a little long, but you can see we're actually still ticking up. Looks like fire damage that just stopped ticking up as that ship came around, but I think the Wyoming was on fire the entire time. And again, very steep angles. If you look at the ship's diagram, I don't necessarily, I think I'm turning away because it did look like he sent in some incoming fire, so I thought he had fired his guns. He must have fired 1 or 2 of them, and then had the majority of his cell there still available. So that actually could have been fairly dangerous, but luckily we were able to get out of that situation. Now the Königsberg is using cover, but now that we're dropped detection, he won't be able to fire at us anymore, so I'm content to just let that Wyoming burn. Now the Königsberg, you see we're still continuing to use HE. That's a situation right there where you could definitely switch over to AP. I mean, the AP shells in this are good. It's not like if you primarily play high tier American cruisers, it's not going to have the same characteristics. It's probably good for the tier, but you know, long range definitely drops off quite a bit in performance. That's why I typically stick with the HE unless situations are a little bit more favorable. Now, just taking a look at this game, they're up on score quite a bit, and there's two types of running and hiding at the end. There's running and hiding when you're down in score, and there's running and hiding when you're up on score. These guys are up on score by quite a bit. All they have to do is stay away from me, or the destroyer can get on cap, pick up some spare points. So you do get points for sitting on the cap in capture the base mode. So even if he wants to sit on the cap now while I'm busy, pick up some extra points and then sail away as soon as I kill his teammates, if I do. But I don't like to watch my team play when I die because I usually get really mad. And it's usually ticked off myself for doing whatever caused me to die, and then I transfer that over to my team. But one thing that whenever I do watch them, I'm always yelling at my TV like, why are you playing like this game's already won? You know, you should never play like the game's already won. You can play like you're winning. That's different, but I think like if you're up 3 ships to 1, the tendency is to sail, you know, directly at the guy and then just kind of try and do whatever you can to get the kill on the guy. But now, I'm not saying these two are actually doing that. This Königsberg is actually he's not just sailing blindly into me. Obviously, he's extremely low health. I was sighted by presumably the destroyer, and he was actually using the cover to shoot at me. So I'm not saying he was doing anything wrong there. And because that ion was in there, I actually wasn't able to turn away. So he did pop me in the citadel, and I actually wasn't able to turn the other way to protect the citadel. So he could have actually just killed me right there. I don't know if I turned to my left enough where, you know, that German AP, I talk a lot about it, where if the ship's not fully horizontal, it has a lot harder time penetrating. So perhaps I'd angled enough to mitigate some of the damage. Perhaps not. I don't know. Maybe I just got lucky there. But he definitely caught me really hard with the first salvo there, and, you know, that could have been game over. So I think he was doing a good job. I'm not saying either of these two were playing like, you know, what I was talking about earlier. I'm just trying to give you guys some tips in general. But now why am I, you got to look at the situation. He's on the cap, obviously, so I can look on the map and tell where he might be. I'm putting these torps down just because a lot of times destroyers will try and catch you right around the corner. And then I am putting some distance between myself and him. Now it looks like he was planning on me going around where I initially was going around instead of turning around. And I did have AP loaded there, unfortunately. That would have been the end of the game. And he's actually able to get undetected. But that's another kind of thing to think about, is if you can turn around from where you were last sighted and do the opposite, a lot of times that's effective, you know, so kind of shake things up. The send screen's really quick here. I don't know why, but I ended up having like 3,000, and then like the next two guys in my team had like 1,000 each. So I thought it was fairly remarkable, the disparity. Not to knock my team, but I just, yeah, 3,200 to like 1,000, 1,000. The only reason I really point that out is just because that's the biggest disparity that I recall. Now here I got another high damage Marblehead game. This one's on straight regular capture the base mode game again. I honestly, like, I play this ship once or twice a week usually, and most of my damage outputs I would consider pretty high for a tier 4 cruiser. So definitely, again, if this ship ever shows up in the shop and you get a chance to buy it and you like cruisers, I'd strongly recommend it. And if you don't have any inclination to buy it, or it never shows back up, I would go ahead and kill it if you see it anyways. I mean, the people that bought the Founders Pack ships are probably, in general, more serious about the game than people who didn't bother to buy it. Not to say you can't be a very good player or very serious without buying it, but you know what I'm saying. Like, they knew going into the game that they were gonna be putting some time into it, so that's the only reason I mentioned that. But anyway, I'll let you kick back, relax, enjoy this replay. If you did like the video, though, please hit the thumbs up. If you're new to the channel, you should consider subscribing. A lot of World of Warships coming all the time. Questions, comments for me, leave them below. Love to hear from you guys, and we'll see y'all later. Alright, peace.
Fighter airborne. Torpedoes to starboard. Attention, reporting the target position. Enemy cruiser detected. Enemy battleship sighted. Enemy destroyer sighted. Concentrate fire on the enemy warship. All stations, concentrate fire on the target. on the enemy warship.
Enemy battleship destroyed.
All stations, concentrate fire on the target.
The ship is on fire! Engine damage!
Fighter returning to ship.
Problem solved, sir!
Problem solved, sir. The ship is on fire.
Enemy battleship detected.
I need support.
Battle ends in 5 minutes.
The ship is on fire. Problem solved, sir. Protect the base. All forces proceed to the base. Dash it all. Fighter airborne. Fighter destroy. Bullseye.
We've sunk an enemy destroyer.